Flosstube. Welcome back. My name is Becca and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. This is another special edition of Interview with a Flosstuber, and I have an awesome guest today. I am interviewing Made by Michelle McGraw. I absolutely love her channel. We have very similar tastes, which is really cool, and your finishes are awesome. So how are you doing today?
Great. I'm finally running around today, so it worked out perfectly though. So our timing worked great.
Yeah, so. I'm very excited to ask you some questions, so we're going to jump into it.
But I'm so excited to be here. So I'm
This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. So the first question is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
The easiest answer is the community. 100% the community, and being able to talk to other people about stitching, which I love, and just having other people that want to talk about it. Because like I talk with it about some of my girlfriends that don't stitch, and I know they're like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
mine too.
And they're like, okay, you know. So it was having that outlet to talk to other people, and then the best thing was meeting other people, because I never thought that, like, I thought, oh, it'll be great if I get 20 people that tune in to watch, and won't that be fantastic? And then that 20 turned to 100, and that 100 turned to 500, and then 1,000. And I'm like, what in the world? That's crazy, right?
It's so exciting.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So honestly, just the community and being able to talk about stitching, and people like to hear about that.
They want to listen. They want to see. Yeah. That's a very good reason. I know before I had the local stitching group here, you know, I'd bring my stitching into work and stitch on breaks and lunches. And, you know, people would be like, oh, what are you doing? Or they'll ask whatever. And then when I start to explain, they're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Wow. They're like, oh, okay, be quiet now.
Yeah. It sounds boring.
They'll say, I don't have the patience to do that. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, right. But it's so calming. So yeah.
That's just an excuse for people who just don't want to listen and don't want to try, because I get that a lot too.
They just want me to shut up about stitching.
Yeah, just stop talking. So the next question is a subscriber question, and they're just looking for Flosstubers that have a blog. So do you have a blog?
I had a blog a couple years ago, but it was mainly paper crafting, cards, scrapbooking. I actually deleted it. My whole idea was I was going to redo it. Mm-hmm. And then I realized all of the things that I learned how to do, like the templates and the footers, and I had to relearn all that because my format didn't work anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so much more work than I anticipated it being. So I have never gone back and redone my blog. So the good answer is no. I've done it before. I don't think the blog, for me, when I sit down to do a Flosstube, I sit down as if you're sitting across the table from me and we're going to chat about stitching.
Right.
And so my writing, it wasn't proper writing, because that's what I wanted it to still be. I wanted it still being, I was going to chat about how I made this card, or how I, you know, made these glue dots. And so we were going to sit across from the table, and I was going to show you in pictures and talk about it. So I don't think that the blog format is the best for me. I think Flosstube is a better, because then I can just chat. I can just talk with a friend, you know, and I think that's the best way for me anyhow, because the writing will come out, you know, I'll start a sentence with the word "and," because that's the way I would talk, you know, but that's not proper writing.
Yeah. No, and you alluded to it, and I say this in a lot of interviews, because actually not very many people have blogs, you know, anymore that they keep up on. And you alluded to the fact of it being a lot of work. And that's what I always say too. And I don't have one because it is a lot of work. So yeah. I don't think very many people do anymore. Flosstube is just like a nice, good record of it. So
I like the blogs, and I love to go read blogs. I've enjoyed a couple of blogs lately that I found, but it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. So, and I'm definitely not the computer savvy person. So for me, I have to learn each step I have to do it because if I don't, I lose it, you know. So I
that
did
takes
it all
away from
before.
stitching time.
There you go.
Yeah, good
Yes.
excuse. So how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
So I learned from my mom. Started me because my mom cross stitched, and then my sister cross stitched. I probably learned more from my sister. So it's kind of along the same lines of learning to drive a stick shift. My dad taught me how to drive, but my sister was the one that was sat with me while I practiced. Well, she sat in the passenger seat because she was 4.5 years older than me. And because I had a stick shift, and if I stalled the car, she would punch me in the shoulder. And so,
I don't know about that.
I know. So, I mean, the sister love, right? So she would punch me in the shoulder. I'd stall the car, and I'd be like, oh my gosh. And she'd be like, get the car going. But she was the one that sat in the car for, you know, hours and in the afternoon so I could practice and get better and do that. And that was kind of the same thing with stitching. She was the one that I could go to and say, I don't know what I did. I'm off on this pattern and I can't find it. And she would say, okay, let me sit down and see. And she'd look at it and she'd kind of work me through it. Or she'd say, okay, here's how you can fix it. So mainly my sister taught me, but my mom introduced me. My mom and her friend cross-stitched. So, you know, kind of learned from them.
Nice. At least you have family members, you know, that stitch, so that, you know, you have somebody to share it with. My sister also stitches, so it's kind of nice to be able to be like, hey, did you see this pattern? Even though she lives 4 hours away. So
yes. Well, my sister lives 5 minutes from me.
Oh, wow.
So,
very
so
lucky.
that's nice. I'm going to try to convince her to get on a Flosstube, but I don't know if she will. But she has, which I've showed in my Flosstube, the cross-stitch boards. Well, she has 2 cross-stitch boards, 2 or 3. Oh, wow. And she has a massive collection of cross-stitch for the boards. Like, I'm talking about 3 binfuls.
Wow.
It is amazing. She does amazing stitching. She's very quickly, she's quick. But we always joke that her backs are like a mess. Like,
mine are too.
And she's like, I don't care. Look what I got done.
Yep.
And I'm like,
you need to convince her to get on, because I'd like to see those. So that would be
cool. She has amazing collection. So yes.
All right. So next question is, what is your favorite project that you've stitched?
That one was a hard one for me. So it's kind of like picking your, hold on, I have a notice here. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, my big finger.
No, it's okay.
So it's kind of like picking a favorite child. So I tried to think of what was the one that meant the most, and there was 2 that meant the most to me. So the first one was a piece that when I first started learning to cross stitch, my mom gave me this welcome pattern, and it had welcome and like little flowers stemming up from it. When you're 8, 9 years old, you don't care about this welcome with flowers on it. Right. Like, it didn't mean anything to me. I struggled with it. So that kind of got set down for a little bit. And when I got older, probably I was early teens, I found this little bunny pattern. I loved it. I wanted to stitch it. I was almost done with it. And like most kids do, you lose interest, and I set it down and I forgot about it for years. And my sister picked it up and she said, like, literally, I had started the back stitching. So I didn't have much more to do. And so she finished it for me. So she framed it. I still have it in the original frame. I've never changed it.
Cute.
And it's just this little bunny one, but it was the first thing that I finished, you know, and with help. But like, I have even put my initials on it. Like, I don't know how much I had left, but she helped me finish it and then had it framed and gifted it to me. And it just meant so much because that was my first one.
That makes it extra special since your sister, you know, helped finish it and frame it. Yeah,
absolutely. And so then I tried to think what were some of the projects that I've done. And I think the next one that I brought in here, I only brought 2. I know, right? And I'm telling my son, I'm like, can you get that off the wall for me? Because it's like too high up. And he's like, really? And then I'm like, oh, I need to dust this. So I used to have these big pictures in my family room. There was 2 ladies in a dress, and then they were ginormous. And then it had like French words in between them, like in 3 frames. And it took up my whole big wall. It was pretty on the wall, but it didn't mean anything to me. And so I never was really crazy about those pictures on the wall. And this one was the first one that I did that it dawned on me, like, why do I have these pictures on the wall when I can stitch something that I really enjoy and put it on this big wall that I see and enjoy every day? So it was the Visit Hogsmeade from Country Magic Stitch. These are awesome patterns she does. I have so many of them. They are vintage travel posters, what I call, but they're all fandom themed. So like this one is Harry Potter. She has Game of Thrones. She has Batman. There's Jurassic Park. There's Gone with the Wind. I mean, there's so many different ones. I love Lord of the Rings. So this one was the first one I did, and it's a full coverage piece. The pattern's like 4 pages. So I thought, did I just like bite off more than I could chew? I didn't. I finished it. And then I realized they weren't that bad. And so I thought, okay, I am going to stitch these, all the different ones that I like of books and movies and stuff that I like, and I'm going to put them on my wall. So I've started my collage on the wall. So that one was the one that kind of first got me going. And I love looking up there and seeing my stitching every single day. So that's probably the one that I was like, I always thought, oh, it shouldn't be in my family room. You know, it shouldn't be, when people comes in, I should have these fancy pictures on the wall. And then I'm like, no, I should have pictures on the wall that's what I've done. So yeah, those are the ones that got me started. So I started 2 more in Stitch Mania. Welcome to Rivendell, which is from Lord of the Rings, and then Welcome to 12 Oaks, which is from Gone with the Wind. I think that might have been the only 2 I started. And then I have 2 others already started.
Oh, wow.
I'm struggling with this one, and it's not anything to do with the pattern. I love it. It's Visit Mordor. I love it. But for some reason, I am struggling to finish it. And I just told myself this month, I am going to put time into this project, and I'm going to knock this one out. Because as soon as it's done, all the other ones will fly. You know, I'm just stalling for whatever reason. I don't know. So
you could do like what like Erin Two Martini Stitcher does, where she has like a set amount of time she works on one, or you put a couple of, you know, lengths of floss into it or something like that, just to get it done. Yeah.
I've worked on it twice since my last Flosstube, like 2 nights. So I'm hoping to knock it out. We'll see. I'm on page 3. So it's only 4 pages, and the 4th page is like half of a page. It's not even a whole page. So like there's 2 whole pages and then 2 half pages.
Oh, not bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And I just need to finish it. I mean, I'm taking this stupid project to Florida with me. I'm like, come on.
Well, you're putting it out there now, so
I know. I have to finish this project. I have to do it.
All right. So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
For me, it's the relaxation. Sitting down and stitching, keeping my hands busy. I don't sit and watch TV very well. So just sitting in one spot. So stitching kind of keeps me still for a little bit.
Okay.
So it helps to focus my hands. I'm always kind of fiddling with something. And I found out before that like I was on my phone or I was on the computer, and I'm on the computer all day at work. When I come home, I don't want to be on the computer. And so I was, you know, doing all those things, and I kind of changed and started, instead of that, doing my stitching. And it keeps me seated for a little bit, although I'm up and down doing laundry in between all the time. So I have 3 boys, and apparently there's other people that live in my house because there's laundry for like 10
laundry.
So I don't know who else lives here, but I'm doing their laundry too. So
that's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah, stitching is a very calming kind of thing. You know, it for me, like, it keeps my mind focused. It keeps my mind off all the other stuff or the stress that's going on. Even when I get my nasty headaches, I can still stitch through those headaches. But if I was
Oh,
sitting there trying to watch TV or something, there's no way that I could do that. But for some reason, just being able to focus just puts everything else out, which is kind of nice. So yeah, just kind of keeping you sane and sitting and calm.
I hear that from so many people, and it's so great that you can have, you know, it's relatively easy to travel with.
Yeah.
It's portable. I've sat in the car waiting on my kids in carpool.
Yep.
You could take it. I've done it at the doctor's office.
Me too.
I've stitched at Disney before. So, you know, I put it in my bag, and when my girlfriends or my family would go on a ride that I'm not going to ride, I would pull it out and I'd sit there and stitch.
Get some stitches in.
Yeah.
It's nice that it's portable. I take mine with me everywhere. Project bag, I just carry it everywhere with me, whatever project it is. So, yeah. So that segues into, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
Oh my goodness. So there are so many. I'm an avid reader. Probably the only thing I don't read, which is bad to say, is like self-help books, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That's more like a textbook to me in like college studying, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I will read anything from young adult to, my favorite book is Gone with the Wind. To Stephen. Oh, I love that book. I literally, my paper copy, the back page fell off. Oh. Well, how can you have Gone with the Wind without the back page?
Right.
So I had to buy a hardbound Gone with the Wind because mine was falling apart.
Nice.
So I will read like Stephen King. I'm reading the Outlander series. That's one of them that I did it opposite, that I watched the show and now I'm reading the books. Normally I read the books first.
See, I want to do that because we binge watch the show, me and my husband, and I want to go back and read the books now. So yeah, I'll be on.
The books are really good. So far, I'm only on book 1. The books are really good. So for me, if I say a book is good, generally for a book to be good, I don't like, what is it? The little ones, the novels. Is it novels or something they call it? Novellas. Is that it?
Novellas? I don't know.
I don't like the little books. I don't like thin books. So the thicker a book that it is, generally the better I like it, because I like a series, because I like to get to know a character and then I like to come back and revisit them. And if I get the teeny tiny little book, it's not enough for me. Right, so the story might be really good, but I'm disappointed that it wasn't enough for me to kind of really get involved in.
Right.
So, I have another notice. Right. It's Life 360 that's coming through, and apparently my son is leaving and going.
Nice.
Stay down.
So what fictional place would you most like to go?
That one is the hardest for me. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. I loved the books. I thought the show did a great job up until the last season. I think the last season got rushed.
I was waiting for that.
It was still good, but it was rushed. I want to see George Martin's version. I want to see if it's different. I want to read the books. But even then, I think I'm too sassy and outspoken to have lived in that time. So, you know,
I wouldn't last very long.
No, I wouldn't at all. So that was hard. I'm like, where can I be sassy and be alive? I don't know.
I mean, you know, if you stayed hidden.
Oh, did we lose you?
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
You're good. I was like, if you stay hidden, then I think you might be okay.
Yeah, but I have to keep my mouth shut, and that would be the hard part, right?
Yeah. I can see that.
Death by running their mouth. That
right. There you go. I think maybe it was Carla in her interview. I think she said something similar to that too, about like just being too sassy to go anywhere. I think it was her. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
So it would include water. So I have been obsessed with water, beach, waterfalls, lakes, ever since I was a kid. I could go to the mall, my mom would be shopping, and I would sit in the middle of the mall with my dad and watch the waterfall because that was more interesting to me than shopping. So probably snorkeling, because I like, like any show that's on that's underwater is always amazing to me. It's just beautiful. So maybe spend the day snorkeling in a really pretty area. That would be cool.
That would be awesome. I've never been snorkeling. That would be kind of a bucket list type of item. So very cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
So we kind of alluded to this earlier, but do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
So I do scrapbook. I do make cards occasionally. I have been learning how to sew. I am a very beginner sewer.
Me too.
And I know you're on the outs with your machine right now. So I understand. I get it. I know. So far, mine's been good and been behaving, and we're friends.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, we're going to see how it goes. I have a quilt. I made a quilt table runner, and I just have to bind it. And I've done everything in my power to find something else that I have to do other than binding that thing. Because I'm like, oh, but I can't bind it because my table's a mess. So I need to clean off my table before I bind it. Yeah. I've found every excuse in the world not to go bind it. So it's coming soon. I need to finish it. I think I have built that up harder in my mind than it is, but it still might be harder. So I don't know.
I don't like quilt or anything like that, but I know when I watched Anna, she on her roadie channel, she had a whole bunch of quilts that needed to be bound as well. So I think it's just the binding part that doesn't seem to be too enjoyable.
I hope so. It seems more intimidating than putting together the fabrics is fun. Like I love playing with fabrics. I love playing with patterns.
Yep.
Love all that. But then the binding is so precise. Like I can fake it in my quilt if I get off, but the binding, I have to be precise. And so I'm like, all right, it's coming up. I'm gonna finish it. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be amazing.
You put out there, so you got to get it finished.
I know, right? Becca's gonna be like, "Hey, did you do that?" I'm like, "Yes, but
I'll be on you now."
Really clean. Do you see how clean this is?
It's funny. So how would your friends describe you?
Probably with a wicked personality. Not wicked bad, but devious. So I'm the one that will make the joke. Everybody's thinking it, and I will say it. I'm the one that gives them inappropriate gifts for Christmas. Hence my video that I had with inappropriate fabric.
Yep.
They, in my defense, they asked for it. They said I needed that fabric. So they're going to get something with that fabric. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but they're getting something with that fabric for Christmas. And I'm going to be like, hey, you guys told me I needed it. So.
Yep, I got it. I remember that. That's funny.
Yeah.
I think you would be a pretty awesome friend. And I like people who do, those kind of gifts and that kind of attitude.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. So.
Yep. So how do you prefer to stitch? Do you use a hoop, Q-snap, scroll frame, light, stuff like that?
So I generally stitch my number one would be a hoop. I use the no slip hoops. I think they're Morgan no slip hoops because I like it to be tight. Those are very light. For years, I could not do the Q-snaps and it's not the weight of a Q-snap, it was the thickness of a Q-snap. I have carpal tunnel, and at times it flares up worse than others, and it would aggravate it. I often have two fingers that go to sleep. It's just it is what it is. Yes, I should probably go have it fixed and have surgery because they told me when my son was like 2, he's now 20. So.
Oh yeah, you've waited a long time.
I've put it off. I just don't want to I don't want to do it. I don't want to have the surgery, and I don't want to go through all that. And I know it's not that bad, but so for a long time, Q snaps bothered me. If I could use them, I have a lap frame that I could put on my lap, and I could put the Q snap on it, and then I could stitch two-handed.
Okay.
And that works really good. Now my carpal tunnel doesn't bother me as much, and I think it's because I switch around my projects so much, so I'm not always holding the same thing.
Okay.
So I like the hoop first. I will use a Q snap, but I will never use a big Q snap. It has to be a small Q snap, and then I just let the rest of the fabric drape. And then I have one of the, and I'm going to murder this name, Omac.
Oh, yeah, I think it's Almanac. Something like that.
It's something like that. I have
one of their, what we're talking about.
I know. I have one of their frames, and I love it. I actually have my Cathedral Wood Goddess on it because I can bead her, and she can fit on it. And so I can bead kind of as I go. So I do love it. I cheat with that one. I say cheat. I have a table, a fold down, like a TV table or something. I don't know what you call them, but it folds down, and I rest the top of that on the tray, so I'm not balancing it, and so I just push the tray a little further out from me, and it balances it, and then I can stitch two hands. So it takes the weight off of it, and then I don't sit there and hold it.
Yeah,
so that's
you made your own stand and saved a lot of money.
True. If I could find, I would really like a floor stand that fits my chair perfectly. Of course, there's always the debate if you have a chair that, is a recliner and not a recliner. And then I just want the one that holds it, just like the arms come out and hold it. That's like my lap frame. It literally doesn't clip into it. It just holds it, and you just adjust it how big you need it. And it's perfect because you can pick it up and flip your project over and tie off or do anything you need to and put it back down.
Yeah, I think I have a stand similar to that where it's just like wood, and then you just move the pieces out, because I had a huge scroll frame that I was working on that I don't anymore. But I think I have that same stand.
And that's my lap stand is perfect. I wish I could get a floor stand like that, but the company that I got my lap stand from is overseas, and I waited 2 years for my lap stand. So I'm probably not going to,
especially right now. Right now it might double that time.
Right. So yeah, I probably won't order it. I mean, it's great and I love it, but I probably won't. I don't know if they have it in a floor stand. I've never looked. I know that they have the lap stand. So
mine is a floor stand. Mine that I got that moves like that, mine's a floor stand, but I don't remember where I got it. I'll have to look.
Gotcha.
So what's your preferred fabric? I know you kind of stitch on a lot of different ones, but.
So if you saw my post this week on Instagram, I basically said, I'm a big fat liar. So I'm a big juicy liar. I'm a big juicy liar because I will say that I used to say I will never stitch on samplers or alphabets. Like, why would I want to stitch on that? And like, now I'm obsessed. So anything that I say, I'm a big juicy liar. Come back in like 3 weeks and I'll change my mind totally. So,
that's so funny that you said that, because the video that's uploading right now, my title, I think, was like a sampler and a mirror. Who am I? That is hilarious.
And I didn't want to stitch on mirrors either. And now I have like a stack of mirrors.
Me too.
And I'm like, I could never stitch all the mirrors that I have in my lifetime, but I have them.
Yep, me too.
So I will stitch on anything. I used linen years and years ago. I wasn't all that thrilled with it. But it was very small things. And so it wasn't that big of a deal. And I didn't use it that often. So I've tried a couple of linens, and I will say right now, there are some linen out there that I do not like. Like 100%, I've started them. My stitches look wonky on them. I don't like the way it looks. I have got up and changed my fabric and said, I have no idea what I'll use this fabric for, but it's not going to be this project. Like, I'm not going to hate this project throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
But there are some linens that I have found that I really, really do like Lakeside linen. I love their linen. So I guess I should say never. I will stitch on anything. I recently tried 40 count linen just to try it. Turned out I really liked the way it was stitching up. I don't know that I would do every project on 40 count, but it's a nice one to have and kind of rotate and put in the rotate. I love Aida. I love even weave. I've been recently obsessed with Lugana. I like the way it feels and the weight of it. But I also will stitch on linen as well. So I don't think there's any bad fabric. And I think sometimes the project calls to the fabric. So I had a project a couple months ago that I finished, some Lizzie Kate ornaments, Eek Boo Hits. And I did it on this nutmeg Aida. Old, stiff, I mean, this stuff could stand up on its own. It was stiff. Wow. I mean, this stuff was old school Aida. And it'd been in my stash for a long time, but it was a great color for it. The colors popped. And somebody said to me, they said, on one of my comments, they said, how do you get your stitches to look so great? And I said, I swear it is this cloth. I don't know why. I don't know why, but my stitches were, and even as I was stitching, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm awesome. But it's the fabric. It was 100% the fabric. So
nice.
I will stitch on anything that the project calls for. A lot of times, mini ones. I love Picture This Plus material. So for people who say Aida is stiff, yes, there is some stiff Aida. Yeah. Picture This Plus is not stiff Aida. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I actually like a fabric to drape. As if it's a bigger project, I want it to drape. Yep. And I don't ever have to roll it up. If it's stiff fabric, that's when I have to roll it up. So I actually prefer a draping fabric versus a stiff Aida. But if it's what I have, it's perfect for the project, I'll use it. It doesn't bother me at all. So yeah, any kind of fabric, I'll try anything once. I might not finish it on that fabric, because I'm telling you, there's a piece of fabric in there of Weeks Dye Works that does not like me. Although I have another piece that I'm doing, and it's a plaid Weeks Dye Works, and it's stitching up beautifully. So I don't know. I have no idea what the difference is. And it could be a higher count fabric. It could be like 32 versus 28. I don't know. But it's just a tighter weave, and my stitches look good, and I'm okay with it. And Weeks has the best colors. Like, they are beautiful colors, because it literally goes like with their floss colors. Mm-hmm. Like, it'll be I think they're the same name on some of them. They're beautiful, but some of the Weeks doesn't like me. Me and them are not.
Yeah. I'm not as brave as you. I've not ventured out. I only stitch on Aida. The sampler I'm working on is on Aida. But I have noticed that there are different types of Aida. Like, if there are the stamped kind of like fabric flares, there's a stiffer. There's a lot stiffer. But like Be Stitch Me, which I have a ton of, and Color and Cotton and Picture This Plus, they're all kind of a softer. They're not super, super soft, but yeah. So I don't know if it's just that the hand dyed versus like the printed, if that makes the difference on it. But yeah, I've not ventured out. I've got too much Aida to venture out. Not brave enough.
And there's nothing wrong with Aida. Yeah. Your stitching looks fantastic. Your projects are wonderful. So that just goes to show people you can do great projects on any fabric that you choose. So choose what you want to stitch with. Yep. Choose what you love. It shouldn't be hard. There's times when I do pick up a more challenging project, like that 40 count. Yeah, I have to be in the mood to stitch on that. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. And I love the idea of using one floss, and your stitches look fabulous, and that's great. But it's not something that I'm going to come home every day and go, let me go pick that up. Because sometimes I'm going to be like, I need mindless and easy, and that's going to be more work that I want to put into it today. That's another day project. That's future Michelle's project.
Yep. I'm the same way, because I started a piece on 22 count, which was my first time. And that is, that's a lot for me. 18 count's my go-to, and I use one strand on 18, but
Yeah.
The 22 count is going to take me a long time. It's a smaller pattern, but it's going to take me a long time because you have to be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
And I have to concentrate a little bit more. So, yeah.
Well, I'm always confused because 22 count was very common when I first started stitching.
Mm-hmm.
I still have like the old bags of 22 count. My sister used it a lot more than I did. And like the little bags that you used to get of just white Aida, because that's all we had for years and years and years. We didn't have a lot. I mean, I remember when we first got like pink or a blue, and I was like, woohoo, you know. I mean, it was fantastic, you know. Yeah, it was so much fun to be able to stitch on something different. And you know, the 22 now people say it's called something else, but you don't find it.
Is it called hard hanger?
Yeah, and I don't understand that part. So
I think it's a different type of stitching, but I just stitch on it like I do Aida. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm just doing the Aida stitching, and it's working fine. It's just something I have to concentrate on. So
yeah,
I'm gonna ask you who's behind you. Somebody just like little fluffy.
Oh. That's one of our dogs. That's Leo. So there's 3 of them. It's out of hand here.
Yeah, I've seen them wander through, but he's just been chilling there, and I'm like, I'm just like staring at him.
Normally there's one underneath my feet, but I had them outside all day because it's like 70 degrees here and it's beautiful. And for Charlotte in June, this is unheard of. We had like a high of 62 the other day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Normally we are like 92. We are sweating. We're melted. So this is beautiful weather for us. So I was like, y'all need to go outside and get some air. So they're
tired.
And all they did was spend the day like barking at the back door, like, let us in. We need to come in.
Yep, that's what mine do too. I had Shadow out for the video because she does the intro with me. And then I tried to get her to go back inside, and her stubborn booty, she kept like backing away, like just like a teenager, stubborn attitude. And she refused to come in. I had treats, I had her marshmallows, nothing. I had to go get my daughter to call her in because she didn't want to listen to me. And she just goes running on in. I was like,
of course.
So she was out most of the morning, but gotta love dogs. Yeah, he was distracting me because he was so cute. He was standing there for a while and then laid down, and I just kept looking up at him.
He's probably guarding his bone. They get dental chews, and we call them their bone. And he goes into my son's room and buries them in his room. So if there's any kind of clothes on the floor, he like hides a bone underneath them. And I'm like,
that's funny.
Like if I get a bone in the washing machine, I'm like, yeah.
That's so cute. That's funny. So what is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along with you when you went?
So I've been to a lot of places. My favorite place is always going to be something with water, but if you ask me what my favorite trip is, it's always going to be going to Ocean Isle Beach, which is a beach that's here in North Carolina. It's about 3 hours from my house. We rent a house. It's not very commercialized there. The beaches are very family, and my kids normally have friends. We have friends that go with us. So the house is full. It's noisy. Kids are running everywhere. We always get a house with a pool. And it's just relaxing, and we cook and we chat, and we're on the beach and doing all those things, sitting by the pool. And I always have my stitching by the pool, always. So all the kids know that go, don't splash Miss Michelle's stitching. I'm like, no,
better not. It'll bleed. Well, that's funny. Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing. It really does. Just nice.
It's very relaxing, especially when my kids were younger. When you travel with your kids, I have 3 boys. So we're a very loud family, and they're loud, and so to go to a hotel, I'm always like, shh, stop running. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't count. Don't stop. Yeah.
when they were little, it was like, that's not relaxing. So to go into a house and they could run the steps if they wanted to, it didn't matter. It was in a house by itself.
Right.
I didn't have to tell them to be quiet, and they could just go and be loud and it was okay as long as they weren't outside screaming.
Yeah.
So that was it's always been a relaxing vacation for us. So
nice. That does sound pretty amazing. So, what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to besides the basics?
So I brought it over here with me. My go-to that I have two things. Well, one of them I have all the time, which is my pattern keeper. So if you've never seen one of these, it's Knitter's Pride. It's actually a knitting pattern holder, but it's magnetized. So I just opened this one up. It was brand new. It comes with the strip magnet, and it comes with, these are like earth magnets, so they're super strong. So you could put your pattern on here, kind of put your magnets around to hold the pattern. And then I use this to mark my place as I go down the pattern. Every row, cool. I just going. And it has, the pen fell out. It has to where you can set it up and it sets up on your table.
Oh, that's neat.
So I don't have to hold it. It does have like a spot if you want to take a highlighter or something with you, or if you have, if you want to put some floss in there. I never do, but it has room. So I have one of these in every single project I have. I've always used a magnet. It's how I was taught. I was taught not to mark on my patterns, although I make a working copy. So sometimes if I have a complicated pattern, I still will put like a little line with like a pencil or a pen or something on my pattern, so I know that like I stopped there, especially if it's going in my to-go bag, just in case this shifts.
Right.
I know exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Nice.
So this I always use. This is a pattern one. Most of mine are black, but with the whole virus, Amazon had colored ones, and I said, okay, it's fine. So I have one of those all the time, and they fold up. So I just fold my pattern up in there, and I normally have I always have a needle minder on here. My needle always goes on the needle minder, or it goes on the needle minder on my fabric.
Oh, nice.
Can I say, I don't think in my life I've ever lost a needle. I don't think and I don't know if this is true. So somebody comment and tell me. My mom told me years ago, if you lost a needle and somebody stepped on it, it would go to your heart. I don't know if that's true, but I never lost a needle.
Well, I can tell you that I have lost a needle. I stitched downstairs and somehow it made it upstairs onto our bedroom floor.
Oh, wow.
And my husband's foot found it. Yeah.
And it didn't go to his heart?
Nope, it didn't. Nope.
I think my mom just told me that.
Pretty good, but nope.
We wouldn't lose our needles, and we would make sure we always knew where it was. But if I always put my needle, I never put my needle down on the side of the couch or I always put it either on a needle minder here or a needle minder on my fabric, and that way I never lose it. And I'm picky on my needle minders that I want I want a good magnet on it. Yep. So my needle doesn't, I can fold it up in here. I could put a needle with nothing on it, and it's not going to come out. It's always going to be there. Nice. Now, I do make it easier that I put the open side towards the top, so it wouldn't fall out if it was in my bag. But I've never lost a needle. So it's funny when people are like, I lose needles all the time. And I'm like, where do you think they go? I'm horrified for those people.
It's scary, yeah.
So I know where their needle is. And plus I have dogs. I do have a cat, although she's not a real cat. I do have a cat. I'm afraid if they were to step on it and it would hurt them. So, that I'm very, very cautious of my needle. I mean, it has fallen off my lap before or, something wonky, but I've always found it.
But you found it, yeah.
I'm picky. So the other thing that if I'm at home, so my son made this when he was in high school, and it's the silliest thing. It's literally, it's where I put my traps. I don't save them, but I don't like string all over my floor. Yep. And so I don't like it on my couch. The dogs get a hold of it, or the cat, and I don't want it thrown. When I sew, the bad thing is I bring my big cutting mat and I put it on the kitchen table, and it fills up my whole table. And my table can seat 6. So I have a big cutting mat, and I cut all my fabric strips and I throw them down on the floor because I think, well, I'll just sweep all that up when I'm done. I don't have time. So the other day I'm doing my quilt and I have these long strands that I've cut off the side of the quilt, you know, edging it up so I can bind it. And I noticed one of the dogs walking through with one of these long strips like hung around him. And I'm like, oh, Levi, come here. And I'm thinking like I need to go get this off of him. Well, I get distracted and I forget it. So like 2 hours later, my son's like, why is this in my room? It was the fabric. He drug it all the way through the house back to the room. I was like, see? There we go. Okay. So this is important to me so I don't have string all over the place. So
I have those too. Both of my girls have made like little bowls in school too, and I use them for my
perfect for this.
Yeah.
It's perfect for this.
And it's got a special meaning because your kid made it for you. Yep, for sure.
Yep.
So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
I have no rules in stitching. So, and as I told you before, I'm a big juicy liar. So I will tell you I'm going to work on something and I will lie to you. I will get home and say, I want to work on that. I don't want to do that. And I'll go get something that I do work on. So I have a lot of whips, and I will go find something. It depends on my mood. I will go find something that I want to work on. I've been really good with stitching book club, and I've been stitching that up, and I'm caught up to date. I'm trying to think if I'm caught up to date on anything else. Probably not. Probably not.
The book club one is beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, the Secret Garden one. Yeah.
And it's weird because I'm not a flower person. Like anytime I've crafted, I am not a flowery person. I'm not a girly girl. Yeah. I'm, just not that. And the Secret Garden one is flowers and this cute little bird, and I am loving it. And I don't know why.
Gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's a pretty pattern. I think your answer is pretty common. I don't think anybody really has a rhyme or reason. I've tried using like the wheel, and the wheel will tell me what to do, and then I'm like, no, I don't want to stitch that. Let's do it again.
So until I get something I want.
Yeah, I think it's just like the majority of people that I've talked to have all said that they don't have. It's whatever calls to them, at that moment. So
if I have a deadline that I have to I know when I get closer to Christmas, in July, I want to work on Christmas ornaments for my kids because I do Christmas ornaments for them. So I will do those in July. I'm going to try to finish them in July. We'll see. I have time if I don't, but it would be great to have them done and not have to worry about it.
Yep.
So if I'm under a deadline, last year I stitched up from Good Morning Maui. I stitched up the princesses for my girlfriends and made them into ornaments.
I remember that, yeah.
And so I was under a deadline. So I did hold fast to, I have to get this done. But none of my projects are, oh my gosh, I have to get this done. It's a hobby. Yep. That's my excuse all the time. When my sister comes over and she looks at my fabric collection or my pattern collection, and she's like, oh, Michelle. And I'm like, what? It's a hobby. Right? What are you talking about?
It's 2 hobbies, actually.
I know, right?
It's the collecting, the buying and collecting, and then the stitching. So it's 2
and
hobbies.
the kidding. The kidding is a whole separate hobby for me. And I don't know why I find so much joy of sitting down and kitting up projects. I have so many projects kitted up. I could stitch for 5 years and never finish what I have kitted.
Yeah.
And then I will find something else and I have to kit this.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know why I keep buying patterns. I just keep buying all these things, and I'm like, I've got all this stuff kitted. I'm not gonna have time to stitch all this.
I know. But I can't let that pattern sit out there knowing that I love it.
Right? Exactly. That's what happened with the stuff that I showed today on the video. Was just, I didn't really need this, but it needed a home. So that's my excuse.
Yes.
So we are on to the last question now. And I always like to save this for the last. It's, what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
This is a hard year. And it's been a funky year.
Yep.
But before all this happened, me and my youngest took a trip down to Disney. We went in January. We had a great time. That's the time I love Disney, because Orlando in the summertime, I can't even imagine what those people are doing wearing masks. Like literally, I would have to be naked and wear a mask. I'd be like, I'm sorry, something had to go, and it was closed. Mask and the clothes, y'all choose. Okay, I'm sorry. I cannot imagine anything else on me in Florida heat. We went in October and I literally was melting, like melting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
does wearing a mask make you feel warm? Because it does for me. Like, yes. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just like the hot air, but like just going to the grocery store, I have to go back to work soon and I have to wear a mask for an 8-hour retail shift. Ooh. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, because it makes me
I would have
like
to move
super
very
hot.
slow. I'd have to move very slow.
Okay.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, people. I have a mask on. I can only go this speed.
Back away.
You're going to have to wait your turn. I'm sorry. Blame it on COVID. I'm moving slow, because otherwise it's not going to be pretty. So yeah, but going to Disney, and then we also took a whole family trip. And I invite everybody to go to Disney with me, my whole family. My husband doesn't want to go. He's glad that he doesn't have to go. My older two, they're too worried about doing their own thing. So my youngest went, although he's 13, so I might lose him next year too. I have plenty of girlfriends that go to Disney, so we've done plenty of girls trips and stuff. And so I will get to Disney again. But in March, my whole family went to Vegas for the Con Expo. So that was a fun trip. As my boys have gotten older, we've gone, like when I think one was 3 months old when we went one year. Oh, wow. And we've gone, it's the largest construction show in the world. It's every 3 years. It's kind of where the construction shows debut their new technology and their new whatever. And since we're in construction, my husband has gone well before he met me. He's gone every year since, or every 3 years you go. Yep. And but as they've gotten older, it's fun because my kids are doing different things. You know, I'm not sitting over to the side feeding them or entertaining them or rocking them to sleep. They're now going and investigating and doing their own thing. Yep. That's kind of nice. And we had friends this last time that went. There were several of our friends there. The show canceled a date early, which is unusual, but it was in March. It was when everything was hitting. Yeah. And we rebooked our flight. We were supposed to fly out on Sunday. I booked it for that Saturday. There was plenty of seats. There's 5 of us in our family. So I wanted to get relatively close together, especially my 13-year-old. I don't want him sitting by himself. So I want an adult with him. And we did, we got seats all around. And then I checked the next day and like that whole plane was full because everybody was trying to get out of Vegas. Right. And like literally, I think we knew 25% of the people on the plane.
So it was everybody from the show.
Yeah, everybody from Charlotte was, because we were taking the direct flight. Everybody from Charlotte was on that plane. So we were like, hey, we were like, okay, we got to go to our seats now. We need to let these people get on the plane. So yeah, but that was a fun trip too.
I think I remember you talking about that because you also got to go to Stitcher's Paradise. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome store. If you ever get out to Vegas, it's a beautiful store.
Nice.
So, very nice, very wonderful staff out there. Very, very helpful. And you can spend hours.
You can spend hours, even in Acorns. It's a smaller shop, but I spend hours just wandering because there's so much stuff. So I think I could spend hours in any stitching shop.
Yeah. I can spend just an hour looking at the samples on the wall. And I swear I have bought patterns for the sample stitching alone.
Right?
So
yeah.
There's so many designers that they have beautiful patterns, but their pictures on them don't do them justice. And then I see them stitched and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same for like, if I see it on Instagram, if somebody else is stitching it, it looks a lot different stitched than in the photo. And then you're like, oh, that's not so good. No. Yeah. Gotta love that. So that is it. I wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do the interview. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. So we're going to say bye to everybody on Flosstube. We'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.